Welcome into the Safeguard Podcast. I am Outnumbered.
Matt, can we please change the subject?
At Safeguard, we want to be versatile. We want to help in every way that we can and not just in one certain area or one certain product. We want to be holistic planners for you. A good agent or advisor should provide you good information regardless of whether they sell you something.
It is so frustrating that people are penalized for making a mistake when the government doesn't do anything to educate them.
Honestly, shouldn't it just be about helping people? Listen to this. 33% of men and 43% of women have no life insurance at all. That doesn't even count the people that don't have enough.
Insurance has the power to change people's lives.
You have got to be sure that you educate yourself before you make major decisions. Honestly, I couldn't imagine not being a Safeguard at this point. Hey guys, welcome back in. Episode 6. We are almost a month and a half into our podcast journey. We are Outnumbered the podcast. I am Matt McKay.
And I'm Stephanie.
And we come to you today. We're excited about what we've got going on. We are talking about Stephanie's, what do we want to call it, your testimony or your kind of life story.
Yeah.
So it is going to get heavy up in here.
Hopefully not too much.
Yeah, but I mean, Stephanie has a powerful story, and we want you to know what it is. I know it's going to be difficult for her to share everything about it, but I think it would be helpful for people to know a real story that if you can't connect with it, I don't know what's wrong with you. But it's powerful, and it completely illustrates why we do what we do. Yeah. So with that being said, I'm going to basically just kind of intro and outro and let her do her thing. But first we want to do our Safeguard scoop.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about clearing my throat. We're a little throaty today, this week. Anyway, weather changes and stuff. Welcome to October.
Yeah, welcome to Kentucky.
Right, yeah. Blink and the weather shall change. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Safeguard Scoop, we are talking about, we've got first of all, if you're in Kentucky, the Kentucky Connect, it is now, instead of it being on, we're talking about regular health insurance. So if you're under 65, not on Medicare, if you're on Obamacare, ACA, Federal Insurance Marketplace, whatever you want to call it. Yep. If you're on any of those plans or you were planning on being on any of them, you now have to go through the Kentucky Connect.
State-based marketplace.
State-based marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
So Governor Andy Beshear has passed his father's old legislation back into law, and he's trying to make the Kentucky State Exchange work. So anyway, what it means is that anyone in Kentucky that has that plan, their plan is going to end December 31st.
Yes.
And you have until January 15th. Yeah, from November 1st until January 15th to enroll.
To move, yeah.
So we wanted to give you plenty of warning so you can start looking around if you're in Kentucky. If you're not, you may be in a state that has a state exchange. I don't know which ones off the top of my head have.
Yeah, the majority of states are.
Pennsylvania has one. Does Oregon still have one?
I'm not sure. The majority of states are on the federal marketplace.
I know 1,000% sure that Pennsylvania also has one because somebody mentioned that to me.
It's called the penny. Yeah.
Yeah. So take a penny, leave a penny. But anyway, we wanted to be sure that you knew that. If you're in a state that does not have a state exchange, then you can go through the federal marketplace, and we can help you with that. But find somebody that can help you walk through that. Don't just click through something online. I hope you get it right. Use the experts.
Especially not the state plan. There's so much going on there. So just get help. You're gonna probably need it.
Yeah, and trust me, if you try to do it all yourself, it's extremely confusing.
Yeah.
They send you very passive letters in the mail or through email or whatever. If you have somebody that hopefully is responsible enough to follow through, you should be okay. But you do not want to just get left out in space and have your coverage lapse and then you don't get coverage for that year.
Yeah.
So
that'd be unfortunate.
we wanted to take our time to give you that little scoop. It's also news and announcements. It's our Medicare time of the year. So if you're on Medicare now until December 7th is your time to get in and make changes on your Medicare. So
Yeah. Definitely want to get those plans looked at and make sure everything's going to work out for next year, guys.
absolutely. So that does it for our safeguard scoop. I am going to turn it over to Stephanie and let her take the wheel from here.
Hi, friends. Welcome in. It's just me. I thought it would be a good time in the podcast to sort of tell my personal story, my trials and triumphs, if you will, that basically got me to where I am today and could possibly serve as a warning for some of you as well. So, when I was 15 years old, I got my first job. It was at a Minute Mart, which is a gas station. I was working with several of my high school friends at the time that I knew through marching band. And I met this guy. His name was Ryan. He was 4 years older than me. Keep in mind at the time I was 15, so he was 19, kind of a big difference in age there. But I was very, very mature for my age, and I was maybe a little bit beyond my years in a lot of ways, just through life experiences and that sort of thing. And basically we started dating and dated all through the rest of my high school years. I was a sophomore at the time that we started dating, and continued to date into college. And in May of 2010, we actually got married. Sorry. This is way harder than it should be. So we got married. I was in college. He had went to college previously to get a real estate license, and then when he had gotten to basically the end of college, when he could have got his certificate to be able to sell real estate, he just kind of decided it wasn't for him. He didn't really like it at all. And he had actually went into seminary school and was working to become a pastor. He served as a youth pastor at the church that we were in, but he was working towards becoming a pastor. And so one day, which was May 14th, 2012, the day before our 2-year wedding anniversary, he called me. And when I had left for work, everything seemed normal that day. But he called me and he told me he wasn't feeling well. I'm sorry, guys. And he told me to talk to his boss and he was gonna stay home a little bit from work. He said he had the worst headache of his life. He was just gonna try to sleep a little bit so he could feel better, and he was gonna go to work that afternoon. So I was at work. I was training a girl that day, and I was really busy. So I was worried and concerned about him, but I didn't have a lot of time to truly dwell on it. So I was just going through my work day until I had mentioned to someone just a little bit before my lunch break that he had said that he had the worst headache of his life and just some of the things that he had said on the phone, and the guy just seemed really concerned. He said, that doesn't sound normal. He said, you might want to go check on him. This guy's name was Jeff, and at the time he was one of my closest friends at the job that I was working at the time, which was a car dealership. And so I talked to my boss, and she agreed to let me go home on my lunch break an hour early. So I was driving home, and I wasn't super worried about things until Jeff had said, that doesn't sound right. Something sounds weird. And then that made me scared. So I get to the interstate on the way going towards my house, because my house was right off of an exit that they had recently built. And I had this car. I was going way too fast. I was driving very fast because I was trying to get home quickly because I was concerned. And I had this cop come flying behind me. And at first I thought I was being pulled over. I pulled over out of the way, and the cop just flies past me. And this cop is, I kid you not, probably doing 90. And I knew. I just knew. My stomach just plummeted. I just knew something was going on. So I pulled back over behind the cop. Couldn't even come close to keeping up with how fast he was moving. Finished out, got off the exit, and I saw him turn onto my road. And it just, I don't know. I just knew. So I drive around the corner, and I see cops and ambulance in my driveway, and I couldn't even get close to the driveway to park my car. I had to park way down. I had a really large front yard, and I had to park way down from my house in the grass just to be able to park. And my brother-in-law came running out and grabbed me, and he was trying to explain what was going on. And of course I had started panicking, and I'm like, I need you to talk faster. I need you to talk faster because I'm panicked. And he just explains he came over to check on Ryan, and that Ryan was not responding. And so they took him in ambulance to the local hospital. And they asked me and asked his mom his medical records and his history and that sort of thing. And we both just told them what we knew. And they did some testing, and they found that he had had a brain aneurysm. And they were going to life flight him to a different hospital in Nashville called Vanderbilt. But that they didn't really think that there was anything that could be done. So they let us in to the room to see him before they put him on the helicopter to take him off. And it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever seen. I just collapsed on the floor. I couldn't stand up. So when we went to Vanderbilt, they took him in the helicopter, and we drove. It's about an hour 10-minute drive, however far it was from the house or the hospital. And we got there, and when I went to give him his name to figure out where he was, they didn't have him in there. And I didn't understand why. I was so confused. But they just had him under John Doe or something like that. I'm not really sure why, but they ended up telling us where to go, and the doctors did so much testing for hours and hours and life-saving measures, and he went into cardiac arrest multiple times, and they kept shocking him and doing CPR and bringing him, bringing his heart back and all that, but there was just too much damage to the brain, and they didn't have any way to balloon it off because he had had an aneurysm before. So there was nothing they could do. He was 25. I just remember the doctor coming up after everybody had walked out. I was the only one in there. I don't remember this doctor's name at all. I wish I did. But he just hugged me and he was crying. He said I did everything I could. Sorry guys, it's been 9 years, but it's really hard to talk about. I'm sorry. So, after he passed away, it was really, really hard. He was, as I said, he was several years older than me. I was still in college at the time. I was 21. I had, he actually died the Monday after finals week of my second to last semester in school. And he was definitely the primary breadwinner. I worked part-time. I was only making like $8, $7.75, $8 an hour, something like that. He was making more, substantially more, and my money was just more to supplement. When he passed away, we didn't have very much in life insurance, just what was offered through his company. Nothing in addition. I had gotten some bad advice before that because he had prior health conditions that he wouldn't be able to get life insurance, and I was young and didn't know any better. So by the time that I paid for his funeral and all of the costs that came with it, there really was nothing left to live on. I had a little bit in savings just because when I started working at 15, I put a lot of money back, and I was very fiscally responsible and stuff like that. But when he died, there was so much of a shortage of my income to my expenses because everything was set up on two people income. And I wasn't making nearly enough to cover what he had brought in. And when I graduated from high school, I went full-time at the car dealership I was working at, and I still working full-time. I still wasn't making enough to make up for the lack of income. I drained through my savings account just trying to stay afloat, and I got to the point that it was basically a concern monthly on whether I was going to get to keep my house or not, or what I was going to do. And it all stems from somebody telling me he couldn't get life insurance. And I know now that he could have, and I didn't understand at the time what my options were. And it is one of my biggest regrets because my life could have been so much different if I would have known not that it was going to happen, because you can't know that, but if I had known that I could have been prepared for it, that I could have taken care of myself better, because to this day, I still struggle with the deficit that was incurred in those years that I wasn't making enough money. And at the time, our state, the way that help benefits like that work, they wouldn't give me any benefits because they said I made too much money. So even though I didn't make enough to pay my basic needs, I couldn't get anything like food stamps or health insurance or any kind of assistance on anything, because they said that I made too much, even though at the time I was only making like $8.50 or something. So I just it is a regret in my life, and it is the sole motivation for why I get in front of people to talk about insurance every single day. Because somebody gave me bad insurance advice and I believed it. And I could have changed everything in my life if I would have just talked to an insurance agent that knew what they were doing. So if I could be that insurance agent for somebody to prevent them from going through what I've been through, then I know that that would make a difference in somebody's life. So it's just one of those, like, I'm not even the type of person that believes that I don't need to plan or I can do it later. That's what a lot of people my age think. Oh, I'll take care of this when I'm older. Nothing's gonna happen to me. Nothing's gonna happen to my spouse. I'll deal with it when I'm older. No problem, That's such a bad way of thinking. It's so flawed. So flawed. I was 21 years old when I became a widow. And I didn't have time to grieve because I had to immediately go back to work so that I could pick up all of the broken pieces of my life and just try to survive. And I totally shut down. I didn't hang out with friends. I didn't feel like I had anybody in my life at that time that I could open up to and talk about things with until Matt came back in my life after he graduated from college. And he was the only one, for whatever reason, that could tell that I wasn't okay. And he could read through what I was saying in a way that nobody else had ever been able to. And he really helped me pick up the pieces. Goodness. Oh, man. This is rough, guys. So, the point of telling you all this, for one, is to show you we're real people. We're real people with real stories. We've been through it. Not only have we seen it professionally with our clients, we've been through it. Matt has been through the aftermath of what this situation did to me. So he's never experienced it personally, but he has been there through this whole process. And it has affected us and our relationship, and so we use that experience to try to help people, to try to serve as a warning, and to spin a bad situation for good, and to use that memory for a positive thing so that he didn't die for no reason. So I hope that you can get your affairs in order, because even if nothing happens to you, which hopefully it wouldn't, it's better to be prepared just in case it were to happen, because it's devastating if it does. And the last thing you want to worry about in that time is whether or not you're going to be able to keep your home, or how you're going to pay your next bill, or how you're going to pay for food, or any of those things that I had to go through, because it is stressful and it is scary, and it's real, and it happens, and it's preventable. I could have prevented it if I just knew better, and I didn't. And I want to use that to help others to know better. So make sure you have health insurance in place. Even if you're healthy, make sure you have life insurance in place. Don't just look at the bare minimum that your group insurance offers and that's it. You need to take into account what your bills are, what expenses are going to be left behind if you were gone. And you need to make sure those are covered. This is more important than your Chick-fil-A morning run or your Starbucks or whatever expensive habit you may have. This is more important, and it, depending on your age, can be very, very affordable. Very affordable. Just take care of this stuff and don't assume it won't happen to you, or you'll take care of it when you're older, or you don't have the money to take care of it right now, so you'll deal with it when you have a little bit more money. Because trust me, if you don't have the money right now to pay for life insurance, and you don't have the money to pay for a funeral, and you certainly don't have money to pay for the havoc that is left behind after someone passes away. So I turn things around. I have a beautiful family and a wonderful husband, and he's very supportive. But I still could have done things different, and I should have. And I hope that you do. I will talk to y'all next time. I'm gonna go pull myself together. I hope that at the very least maybe this will resonate with some people and spring you into action. Because sometimes you just have to be hit in the face before you do something.
Wow. Well, that is an incredible story, and of course I knew most of that, but it gets me every time, and she's a true warrior for everything that she's been through. But we want to. The reason that we shared that is we want to be sure that you know that it's not something that you just take life for granted. There are things that happen. It's not just something that we do to try to manipulate you or try to get you to do something. We've truly experienced it, and she has even on a closer level than I have. But we've seen it throughout our careers, both personally, directly with people that we're connected with, and also our clients that we may not be family members with, but they're like family.
It feels like it, yeah.
And so we want to encourage you guys, do not mess around. It's not something that we need to, that you want to make an excuse about, because there were things that Stephanie and Ryan probably could have done that would have made their situation better and made it easier for her to move on financially. Of course, it's never easy to just to move on from something like that, but creating and setting yourself up at least financially to be okay, or at least to survive, is better than being completely devastated.
Yeah.
And so if we were to have any wise words of the day, it's take the time that you have to enjoy what you have, because you never know when you might not have it anymore.
Yeah.
So value your time you have, love on the people that you love, forgive people, and live your best life, because you just don't know when God's going to call you home. So, that being said, guys, thank you for listening in. I know this was a lot more heavy and serious than it can be sometimes, but we wanted to kind of let you in a little bit and see why we do what we do. And so this is probably it's definitely the number one motivating factor in a lot of what we do, is because we've encountered this. So that being said, like and share this. I know it's going to be powerful, and I think a lot of people can connect with it. If you want to tag people on Facebook or whatever on the recording, or share it to people that you think could use it, either as an encouragement, or people that need to think about these things, or maybe you know someone that has recently dealt with loss and is trying to pick up the pieces. Whatever the case is, number one, we're here for you. Number two, we want this to be a message of caution to take care of other people. And so, like, share, subscribe, check out our website, www.safeguardky.com. Check out our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, @SafeguardKY or @SafeguardKYINS. What else am I missing? Anything? Next week, are we talking about what our next week's episode might be?
I don't think so.
So we're gonna surprise you next week. How about that?
Yeah.
If you have any requests, let us know.
Yeah.
Your topic may be the topic for next week.
We might end up picking it.
Yeah.
But I imagine it'll probably be something about health insurance, because we're really getting into the meat of our health insurance time, and it'll probably be right around the beginning of AEP for Medicare. So I would guess that's probably going to be the subject most of the time the next couple of months. But we're excited about what we're doing. Take care of yourselves, and like we said, value the time that you have together. Take care, and God bless you.
See you next week.
Bye.